On June 10, 2025, Anthony Floyd Wainwright will face execution by lethal injection at Florida State Prison. This date marks the culmination of over 3 decades of legal battles and painful memories for many. While his legal team has filed appeals and a motion for a stay of execution, no court has granted a halt to the execution at this time. The Florida Supreme Court is reviewing the case, but unless a stay is issued, the execution is set to proceed as scheduled. Wainwright's name is tied to a crime so horrific, it shocked a state and left scars that still haven't healed. But to truly understand what this day means, we need to first remember the life that was stolen. A young woman named Carmen Gayheart. Carmen was just 23 years old, a nursing student at Lake City Community College, a mother of 2 small children, and someone who carried hope and kindness in every step she took. Friends described her as someone who brought warmth into every room, whose laughter was contagious, and whose determination was inspiring. She was balancing her studies, motherhood, and work with a grace that many admire, but few can maintain. Her dreams were simple yet profound. She wanted to become a nurse, to help others heal, and to provide a better life for her children. This makes the tragedy of her loss all the more heartbreaking. A life full of potential, taken away in the cruelest way possible. Honestly, when I hear about someone like Carmen, it hits me hard. She was just starting out, juggling school and kids, trying to do everything right. It's a stark reminder that sometimes life throws the worst at the best people, and that's what makes this story so gut-wrenching. On the evening of April 27, 1994, after finishing her classes and doing her usual errands, Carmen stopped at a grocery store in Lake City. While loading her groceries into her car, 2 men, Anthony Wainwright and Richard Hamilton, approached her. These 2 were dangerous fugitives, having escaped a North Carolina prison just 2 days prior. Armed and desperate, they forcibly abducted Carmen, stealing her car and dragging her into a nightmare. The details of what followed are difficult to recount, but they must be told so the truth is never forgotten. Carmen was driven across state lines to Hamilton County, Tennessee. There she was subjected to unspeakable acts of violence. She was sexually assaulted, strangled, and shot twice in the head. Her body was abandoned in a wooded area, left to decompose until it was discovered days later. I won't lie, this part of the story is really tough to get through, but I think it's important we don't turn away from the truth, even if it's uncomfortable, because that's how we keep the memory of victims like Carmen alive and honor what they went through. Carmen's family was left shattered, grappling with a grief that words can barely touch. Her sister Mariah Tortora spoke years later about the cruel injustice, saying, "They didn't give Carmen 20 seconds. They've had 20 years. It's not fair. It's not right." These words remind us that while the wheels of justice turn slowly, the pain for victims' families remains sharp and raw. The manhunt for Wainwright and Hamilton ended in Mississippi after a violent shootout with police. Mississippi State Trooper John Wayne Leggett was the officer who confronted them. Despite initially not knowing who they were, Leggett's instincts kicked in when he spotted the suspicious vehicle. The ensuing gunfight was intense, but Leggett's bravery was key to their capture. His actions earned him the Highway Patrol's Medal of Valor and the title of Trooper of the Year, honors that highlight the sacrifices law enforcement officers make to protect communities. At trial, the horror of the crime was laid bare through testimony from fellow prisoners. One inmate, Robert Murphy, recounted chilling details about Wainwright's admission. He said, "Tony had her get out of the truck and lay in front of it on the ground, buck naked, and commenced to strangle her." Murphy continued, "She didn't die. Like when you hit a puppy in the head and it kind of kicks before it dies, that's what she was doing. That's when I shot her in the back of the head twice and dragged her off into a ditch." The judge overseeing the case didn't mince words. He described the crime as pitiless, and unnecessarily torturous, calling it wicked, evil, and vile. The verdict was death for both men, a reflection of the severity of their actions and the pain inflicted on Carmen and her family. The wheels of justice grind slow, painfully slow sometimes. For Carmen's family, every extra day without closure was another day of pain. I try to imagine what that must feel like, knowing the truth but having to wait decades to see it fully acknowledged. For years, Hamilton remained on death row until his death in 2023. Wainwright's case, however, continued through the courts. His legal team filed numerous appeals seeking to overturn the sentence or delay the execution. But in 2004, the Florida Supreme Court denied post-conviction relief. The appeals continued for nearly 2 more decades. The 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals dismissed his appeal in 2023, and finally the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear the case in 2024. The facts remained unchanged. The sentence held firm. As the execution date nears, emotions run high on all sides. For the victim's family, it's a bittersweet moment. Hope for closure mingled with the enduring pain of loss. For Wainwright, it's the final chapter of a life marked by violence and crime. The prison will carry out the execution using lethal injection, the standard method in Florida since 2000. Details about Wainwright's last meal or final words have yet to be released. But these small moments often provide insight into the human side of death row cases. For some, the final meal is a chance for comfort. For others, final words may be a plea for forgiveness or a statement of remorse. For the families, these moments are watched closely, sometimes for closure, sometimes for questions that remain unanswered. The story of Carmen Gayheart is a painful reminder that behind every headline about crime and punishment are real people. Lives lost, families broken, and futures stolen. This case challenges us to remember the victims and to confront the lasting impact of violence on communities. It's also a reflection of the criminal justice system's complexity, the slow grind of appeals, the challenges of balancing punishment with humanity, and the ongoing debate about the death penalty's role. But above all, this is a story of accountability, of justice delayed but not denied, of a life that mattered and a truth that must never be forgotten. Thank you for watching. If stories like this matter to you, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.